Hey guys, welcome back to Sensei's Journey. A little while ago I made a video about how to train your cardio respiratory system, and today I wanted to go a little bit more in depth what that means as far as low intensity exercise, because I talked to you guys about beginning your training. You should be doing like 180 minutes a week of low intensity exercise, and you can build your intensity from there. But yeah, you may not know what it means to do low intensity exercise. So I'm going to give you a really simple and easy way to determine whether or not you are doing low intensity exercise. And it's a little thing called the talk test. The talk test is very simple. If during an activity you can speak normally, you can have a normal conversation with someone, and you don't have to take breaths to be able to complete your sentences, then you are operating at a low intensity. So if you are able to say the alphabet or sing a song or whatever while you are moving forward in your running, or if you're just walking on a step mill or something like that, or rowing, if you're able to have a normal conversation, that is low intensity exercise. And I'll go a little bit more into depth about ranges of cardiovascular fitness and VT1 and VT2, and that may not make sense now, but will later. We'll talk a little bit more about that at another time, but right now I just wanted to focus on what it means for you to what it means for you to be operating at a low intensity. So if you are having to be able, if you can't get a normal sentence out, then you're not operating at a low intensity. It's just a very easy way for you to determine whether or not you're working too hard right off the bat, because a lot of people want to work, they want to, sprint a mile or something like that, which you can't sprint a mile, but that's not the point. But they want to work really, really, really hard, and then they wonder why they hurt themselves or whatever else. So now you know a way to be able to keep track of if you are operating at a low intensity of exercise. So there you go. Now that I've talked about that, let's talk a little bit more about what I've been doing training wise, just so that you guys can stay along with me there. I have, since I've changed my schedule, for about the first 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to not be doing a whole lot of cardio, primarily because I'm getting used to a new lifting program. And there's a lot of stuff going on in that, so there's a lot of lifting and there's a lot of volume with my calisthenics on top of that, and I didn't want to overload myself too quickly. And when I go back to doing cardio, I will either be doing low intensity cardio for 30 to 40 minutes, or I will be working more on my shadowboxing and bag work, so that's more skill related stuff, and it'll be really quick, short workouts for those bag work or shadowboxing sessions. So I'll be getting 2 different types of cardio, but I really just wanted to give myself a little bit of a break on birds. Really just wanted to give myself a little bit of a break on doing a massive amount of cardio and whatnot on top of trying a new program. Because when I was doing the Hajime no Ippo training program, I was training for sometimes 3 hours a day, and that got a little exhausting after a while. So especially since I'm not just doing body weight training and I am hitting higher intensity with the lifts, I definitely didn't want to overdo that. So when you, as a lesson, when you guys are introducing new variables to your training, introduce them one at a time, and introduce them after a sort of like a trial period. So 3 to 4 weeks of doing a new lifting program. Don't be trying to do anything else new on top of that, for a couple of reasons. First of all, you don't want to overload yourself, and second of all, you won't really know how effective the new programming is if you try to do too many things at one time, because you get a very effective lifting program and possibly overload it if you put a large amount of cardio on top of it, and you may not know how effective the lifting program by itself is. You may harm those gains, whatever that is, if you're trying to do multiple things at one time. And so that kind of leads me into the next thing that I wanted to speak about, and then we'll get into a little bit at a later time, is training multiple different kinds of things at one time. So there's a lot of people that just lift, just do bodybuilding, just run, just do martial arts. That's great, and you can put a lot of time and energy into each one of those things. But if you're trying to do different things, and sometimes things that are very disparate from one another, which means things that are very different. So if you're trying to be a power lifter and also run long distance, those things are sort of contradictory to one another in training program. So you can do both of those things. I know athletes who have done both of those things. I have done both of those things. But you have to change your training. You can't do as much powerlifting as a person who does powerlifting, and you can't do as much running or swimming or biking as a person who just does those things to the exclusion of everything else. You don't have the energy or recovery to be able to do energy reserves or the recovery to be able to do those things. And if you do them individually, you'll get a certain amount of gain on each of those things. But if you do them together, you can gain on both of them, but your gains will be smaller because you only have so much recovery time, and you only have so much recovery reserves to be able to produce those gains. So don't be upset if you're trying to do multiple things at one time and you're not seeing the same sort of strength gains or the same sort of cardio gains that somebody else is seeing when they're just doing the thing by itself. You're not going to be able to have the same kind of gains if you're doing multiple things at the same time. And it's even worse if you're trying to do 3 things at the same time. So if you're trying to lift heavy and you're trying to do calisthenic movements that are really, high into, or you're trying to do martial arts and you're trying to do long distance running. Each of those things, they don't carry over to each other. So because they don't carry over to each other, they're going to need their own space and they're going to need their own amount of recovery. And so you have to bring each of those things down in proportion to your overall amount of total energy. And you'll have proportional gains to how much you had to bring those down. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. You have to find out what you want to do and what you enjoy. And then you tailor the program, whatever it is, to your needs. So you don't say, I want to do all of these things. I want to do powerlifting. I want to do bodyboarding. So, you can do powerlifting and bodybuilding together pretty easy. But I want to do powerlifting and I want to run long distance and I want to do, MMA. You want to do all 3 of those things together. You need to make sure that your programming is on point. You need to make sure that every session has a point and that the sessions are not interfering with each other. And it's going to take a lot of practice if you have no idea what you're doing. So don't overload yourself and go, well, I'm going to do an entire powerlifting program that I found online, and I'm going to do this long distance running program that I found online, and I'm going to go to the MMA gym 6 times a week, and I'm just going to make it work. No, you won't. You won't make it work. The only way that you're going to make that work is that if you are extremely on chemical assistance of some sort, which I'm not telling you to do. And even then, it's still not going to be as effective as if you just did one of those things at the same time, like one of those things to the exclusion of the other 2. So I talked about a lot today, but all those things are kind of related, and I'm going to go into each one of those things more at a later date. But yeah, so a little ranty today. If you guys have any questions about what I talked about today, please leave those in the comments, or you can message me on Twitter, or just at me on Twitter, at the Anime Trainer. Thank you guys very much for watching. We have a Patreon. If you guys would like to help support us, it helps us out a lot because We want to try to be able to make more and more content. We want to try to up the production quality, and we want to be able to do some cool things for you. But I try to keep these Sensei's Journey videos a little bit more down to earth, me talking to you. Anyway, people that wanna come and just like get to know me a little bit more, I try to keep these a little more down to earth instead of like the real anime training videos. So if you like these videos, thanks for watching. And if not, I guess we have other content. But thanks so much. Until next time, guys, good luck and train hard.